If the whole thing was different, it would be better, right? Fantastic. This was literally my top comment. If anything, it's actually the most liked comment on the fucking music video. It's got more likes than my actual music video. A comment! 202,000 likes on this comment. Why aren't you liking the video?
Meanwhile, though, while I was confronting KSI, I heard a final response from Zach XBT, which he said, I found another example. See, on May 11, 2021, KSI Crypto tweeted, "This is about to explode." Only moments later, though, he sold $25,000. Didn't buy it. Which I get it. It's a relatively small amount, but it furthers that same pattern of behavior.
Some YouTubers, whenever they get involved in a controversy, somehow manage to find a way to survive it. No matter how much criticism they receive or how bad things get against them, a few weeks later, everything is forgotten and they return to normal. For years, KSI was exactly one of those people. Any controversy that came his way would eventually be left behind.
Yesterday, he accidentally exposed the pump and dump crypto scams that he promoted.
If the whole thing was different, it would be better, right? It's actually the most liked comment on the music video. It's got more likes than my actual music.
But what happened in 2024 was completely different. This time, it wasn't just one scandal or one mistake. Several different events happened back to back, and together created a picture that a large part of the audience could no longer ignore. Interestingly, these controversies on their own might not have been that dangerous. The main issue was KSI's reactions. In almost every stage,
YouTubers, man! I can't not say anything anymore! This is selling stuff for the sake of making money! Simple! How does this benefit their life? This is selling crap to kids who don't know better than to trust the people who are selling it to them. Do better!
Instead of calming the fire of criticism, his responses made the flames grow bigger. For years, audiences had known him as someone who always gets through crises, from disputes with other creators to bans, long discussions, and even family conflicts that were repeatedly brought up in public space. None of them managed to cause lasting damage to his personal brand. Numbers kept growing, views went up, and audiences quickly moved on to the next topic.
KSI, your thoughts after that robbery? It's a robbery, bro. How many jobs did he land? How many jobs did you land? You didn't get hardly any shots off. And you got a point off as well.
I'll tell you one thing. He can land two right hands around, but I was pushing the pace, I was throwing the shots, and I was the one put working.
You weren't landing.
Way better than he has. Like, I would much rather be in my position than his. I mean, it's nice to know that my fight with Tommy Fury will be the biggest fight he will ever have in his life. Even if he fights anyone else, no one is gonna care.
Perhaps this history made KSI believe that this formula would always work. But the first serious sign of change appeared after his fight with Tommy Fury. Losing the match itself was not a big issue. In the world of sports and entertainment, people lose all the time. What really matters is how one deals with defeat. And this was exactly where many viewers felt KSI made a serious mistake. Instead of accepting the result and moving on, he entered a long process of explanations, justifications, and attempts to reshape the narrative. Almost every angle was tried to make Tommy Fury's victory look less significant. But the more this continued, the more negative the audience reaction became. At one point, the discussion even drifted into Tommy Fury's personal life, something that many viewers found unnecessary and only made things worse. Gradually, a large part of the audience reached a common conclusion, that the main issue was not the loss itself, but the way it was handled. Many comments said that being a bad loser can sometimes damage a person's reputation more than losing itself. And for some critics, this incident confirmed things that had been said about KSI's pride and personality for years. Eventually, like most internet controversies, this situation also faded from the center of attention over time. But there was one important difference. This time, the problem had not actually gone away. It was just waiting for the next event. And that event arrived very quickly. In February 2024, something happened that once again brought all attention back to KSI. This time, it wasn't just an online argument or a verbal dispute. Money was involved. And when money and audience trust are involved, people usually find it much harder to move on. Everything started with a video from Coffeezilla, a creator who has long been known for investigating suspicious projects, online scams, and controversial cases in the online world. The video title alone was enough to attract attention, but what made the discussion truly explode was the content inside it. Coffeezilla put together a collection of information and documents and examined KSI's history in crypto-related projects. He was not making claims, he was trying to show evidence. And this made many viewers take the situation more seriously than before. Among the points raised, one of the most controversial was related to times when KSI had promoted certain tokens, while according to the presented documents, he had simultaneously shown different trading behavior. This contradiction between public statements and actual activity raised many questions that were not easy to answer. To clarify the issue, Coffeezilla directly contacted KSI and gave him the opportunity to respond. At first glance,
Eventually, you get double the amount of liquid.
Prime has no sugar added, more electrolytes, and more B vitamins.
Crunch Bar.
Whoa.
Feastables Crunch.
Yeah!
Our pizza uses real cheese. Theirs, as it says on their box, is mozzarella pasteurized prepared cheese product. They can't even call it real cheese.
one event might be attributed to misunderstanding or mistake, but the problem was that critics believed this was not the first time KSI's name had appeared in such discussions, and the more these cases increased, the harder it became to defend them. A large portion of the audience began to wonder whether all of these events were simply coincidences, or whether a pattern was forming. When KSI was asked about these topics, he provided explanations. One of his main defenses was that some of the trades were influenced by unexpected market conditions. In other words, he tried to show that what happened was the result of market volatility, not prior planning. But this explanation did not convince everyone. As the discussion continued, more people joined in, and each time, new details were raised that made the case seem more complex than before. Meanwhile, even people from the crypto community stepped in to defend KSI. One of the most notable examples was a detailed document that tried to show KSI was neither a professional trader nor had any logical financial motivation to act in such a way. This defense attempted to present a different picture of the situation, but the important point was that Coffeezilla's main argument was something else from the beginning. He focused less on intentions and more on responsibility. The idea that when millions of people trust an influencer's words, any financial advice can affect real lives, and that creates a heavy responsibility, regardless of intent. To support this argument, examples were provided showing that KSI's influence on the market and his followers' decisions was much larger than some people assumed. And this was exactly the point where the discussion went beyond a simple internet disagreement, because it was no longer just about KSI. It was about the influence of people whose words are followed by millions. But instead of the conversation staying focused on these questions, KSI chose a different path. In his responses, he repeatedly tried to shift attention away from the core issue. At times, he accused critics of using his name for attention, and at other times, he pointed to his personal wealth, as if having a lot of money alone could answer all the questions being raised. But many viewers did not accept these explanations, because from their perspective, the main questions were still unanswered. As a result, instead of the crisis fading, the gap between KSI and part of his audience grew wider. And while this controversy had not fully ended yet, another event was on the way, an event that was going to become even bigger. While the crypto discussions had not fully settled, KSI entered another controversy. But this time, it was not about investments or financial trades. It was about a product directly marketed to young audiences. In September 2024, KSI, together with Logan Paul and MrBeast, unveiled a new project called Lunchly, a product that was initially introduced as a healthier alternative to Lunchables. On paper, the idea seemed appealing. 3 of the biggest internet personalities in the world, a new product, and massive marketing. But it only took a few days for serious questions to arise. Many people noticed that part of Lunchly's brand identity was built on the claim of being healthier, while some components of the product directly challenged that claim. And this was the point where criticism began. But the fire truly ignited when Dan TDM entered the discussion. In a message that quickly spread across social media, he raised a criticism that many people had already been thinking. He said the problem is not just selling a product. The problem is that some influencers promote anything purely for profit, without truly considering whether the product has real value for their audience or not. And more importantly, a large part of that audience consists of children and teenagers who trust them. This message went viral very quickly, and suddenly the discussion around Lunchly turned from a simple product launch into a major internet controversy. More and more people joined the conversation every day. More criticism was raised every day, and public pressure increased moment by moment. Eventually, KSI decided to respond personally. He released a video whose title alone showed how aware he was of the level of criticism. Everybody hates us right now. But what surprised many viewers was the content of the response, because instead of focusing on the concerns raised, a large part of the video was spent attacking Dan TDM. KSI tried to argue that Dan himself had promoted various products to younger audiences in the past, and therefore there was no meaningful difference between his past behavior and the Lunchley project. But this argument did not convince many viewers, because from their perspective, the issue was never simply about selling a product. It was about the claims made around that product, especially the claim of being healthy, a topic that critics repeatedly emphasized. The more the video was watched, the stronger the reactions became. The comment section turned almost into a field of criticism. Some pointed to KSI's defensive tone. Others believed he was still ignoring the core concerns. And some said he had reduced the entire issue to personal hate against him, Logan Paul, and MrBeast. While the concerns raised were much broader than that. But the story did not end there. Shortly after, other figures also joined the discussion, including Dr. Mike, a well-known figure who works as a doctor and creates health-related content. He also raised some nutritional concerns regarding Lunchley, and this pushed the discussion beyond just a disagreement between influencers. Now, people with professional expertise were involved. As a result, the criticism not only continued, it expanded. And just as KSI was still dealing with this crisis, another controversy was forming. A controversy that, this time, was related to his music. And perhaps in terms of public reaction, it would become even more painful than everything before it. While the Lunchley discussion was still ongoing online, KSI was simultaneously working on another path, this time with a new music project, a song titled Thick of It. On the surface, it looked like just another regular release, but the way it was promoted and its timing quickly drew attention. Some users felt that the way the song was introduced was designed to divert attention from previous criticism and redirect it into a new campaign. This interpretation quickly led to negative reactions, and even a community note was added to some promotional posts, describing them as misleading. With the release of the song, reactions quickly spiraled out of control. The video on YouTube received over 1 million dislikes in a short period of time. And what drew even more attention was the fact that a comment under the video received more likes than the song itself. For many users, this was not just a simple statistic, but a clear indication of public sentiment. In the same critical atmosphere, a wave of jokes, memes, and parody videos spread across TikTok and YouTube. Users used parts of the song and music video as material for mockery. And the more this content spread, the greater the media and psychological pressure became. After that, a second song titled Low was released. But the result was almost the same: heavy dislikes, and another wave of negative reactions on social media. At this point, it was no longer just about a song. It was about a broader image of how audiences were responding to him. In one of the streams, KSI was asked about public reactions to his music. But his response, for many viewers, showed that there was still a significant gap between him and public perception. While these events continued, a repeating pattern was forming, from crypto discussions to Lunchley and now music. At every stage, criticism was often interpreted as personal hate. Serious critics were framed as people chasing attention, and documented contradictions were explained as misunderstandings or misinterpretations. But for part of the audience, these explanations were no longer enough, because from their perspective, if a repeating pattern was a pattern of reactions, denials...
I can't not say anything anymore! This is selling stuff for the sake of making money! Simple! How does this benefit their lives? This is selling crap to kids who don't know better than to trust the people who are selling it to them!
It was clear that the perception had changed, and the story that began with success and growth had now reached a point where it raised much deeper questions.